opportunity to thank one particular person that we overlooked last night at the reception. And if you weren't at the reception, then you don't know what you missed. Mike Chastain has been a very vital component of putting together this conference. He's kind of our IT tech guru, and he does stuff I don't even understand, so I can't even begin to tell you what he does exactly. But we did forget to mention his involvement last night, and Dr. Jim Peach wanted to make sure that Mike got his recognition today. Following along those same lines, if you have your program, there's a couple of important pieces I'd like to direct you to. Back on the sponsors page, just before your note-taking page, this is a very important page. Without our sponsors, we cannot put on this program. This year's title sponsor is USAID. We are very, very thankful for their support, not only this year, but over the years. And we were very, very excited when they said that they would be our title sponsor. They are our first title sponsor ever. As well, on the platinum level, El Paso Electric, we really are very, very excited to have them as a sponsor. Thomas Shockley, CEO of El Paso Electric, is here today. We are very, very thankful for their participation. Once again this year, a charter sponsor. I'd like to point that out again, a charter sponsor since the inception of ReEnergize the Americas, New Mexico State at the gold level. Our two bronze level sponsors are, and that's a typo there, that's something they got by all of the college grads on the organizing committee. It's really bronze. The city of Las Cruces, we're very thankful for having them support us, as well as, and I only know how to guess at this is Dr. Shadauri's department over at UTEP, CSETR. They're doing something in the NASA division. Once again, I'm just a lay person that helps guide this along. The other page that I would really like to direct you to is just beyond the note-taking page or last page. This is the organizing committee. These are people who volunteer throughout the year to put this together. And it gets really time-consuming for all of us because we begin to move back and forth between Las Cruces and El Paso on a weekly basis, having meetings, drinking a lot of Starbucks, eating a lot of Krispy Kremes to put this on. So those are some of the very important pieces that I think you'll find today in your program for making this event really happen. I would like to give you just a little bit of the history of this. It originally started at NMSU with Dr. Jim Peach and Dr. Abbas Gassimi. They put on the conference for 3 years. The Paso del Norte group was looking for a project that we could help stimulate the overall energy sector in the Paso del Norte region. And literally 2 words on a yellow pad at the Paso del Norte group became an idea to have a conference that was going to be looking to support a project that the Paso del Norte group has and still has and is still working on. A renewable energy certification center in this region would do worlds for what we're trying to accomplish in the energy sector. So we thought we had a really cool idea, and all of a sudden NMSU had already been doing it. So all of a sudden we had to scrap everything. I had to go up and talk to both universities, sell them on the idea, and they saw the same vision that we had. We bought into it all together, and we've been working on this going forward. And I can tell you we're already literally discussing, I can't believe this, we're discussing this morning the convention that will be in El Paso next year. So that's basically the history behind this. One other, I guess, housekeeping item. We have translators here today, Patricia, Alejandra, and Rosa Maria. They're going to be throughout the conference in the back. So if you need an autophone for Espanol, Inglés, Inglés, Espanol, you need to see these ladies in the back. That way you're going to be able to understand the translation if we have someone in the room that is actually speaking in Spanish as they're going through their session or at the podium today. So you check in with those ladies back there, get an autophone or Hörgerät in German, then you'll be able to hear the translation. So if you have any questions, the folks that are on the committee have a little blue ribbon on their badge, and we'll more than welcome your suggestions. If you have an issue, we'll try to resolve it as best we can. And without further ado, I'd like to bring to the podium Mayor Pro Tem Sharon Thomas.
Yeah, I had to point out that you're starting with the shortest speaker of the day, and I have my little stool back here to stand on, and then I'm going to be followed by Mayor Cook, who's one of your tallest speakers. So we're making some adjustments back here. So welcome to Las Cruces. The mayor sends his apologies. He had to be in D.C. this week. I heard somebody out in the hallway saying, pro tem, what does that mean? Mayor pro tem means that if the mayor's not here, then I get to do all the mayor's work. So he's in D.C. for this week. So I understand the mission of this group is to spur economic development of sustainable energy resources and activities within the West Texas, Southern New Mexico, and Northern Mexico area. And I say that's an excellent goal. And now that I hear the history of how different groups started working separately and came together, even more excellent. I'm very interested in renewable energy, so I want to tell you a little story. I started on the city council in 2007, and at that time, we were finishing up plans for a new city hall. Councilor Nathan Small, is Nathan here? No, I think he'll be here later. Anyway, we thought that those plans ought to include solar, so at one of the first city council meetings I was at, Nathan and I brought that up. So remember, this was 2007. Not that long ago, but very long ago in terms of how attitudes have changed. So we got a lot of pushback. The technology's not well developed. We don't know what the future is for this technology. It's too complicated. There are too many unknowns. You know, there was no end to the objections from staff and the administration. So fortunately, as many as you know, New Mexico State has had a big solar energy resource facility since 1977. So Nathan and I got the plans, and some of you probably know this, but the plans for a building like that, you know, they're about this tall and this big around. And fortunately, Nathan's pretty big, and he hefted that big roll of plans. And we went over to the university, and we talked to the people at the solar facility, and we said, well, the plans are already made, but you know, what can we do to make sure it's at least solar ready so that we can add panels later? And so, oh yeah, they said they could look at that, and they could do that. So the next meeting, we brought the university people over, and we met with the city staff, and the university people laid out what they could do. You know, you need to do, I think there were like 5 things, and they laid them all out. And the city staff said, oh, is that all? Well, we can do that. And so we did. So we built a building that's solar ready. We've come quite a long way since then. We now have solar at the convention center. Did you notice the solar panels in the parking lot? We'll be getting solar on the new museum that's opening, the Nature and Science Museum that's opening. And by the way, if you're in town on November 2nd, come down to Main Street and see our new museum. It's joining 2 other museums, so we'll have a whole museum complex on Main Street. We also have a city sustainability plan and a sustainability officer to run that program. And of course, we're very interested in efficiency. Now, this won't compare at all to what Mayor Cook has to say, but here, even in Little Las Cruces, we spend over $7 million per year to power 90 buildings, 6,400 street lights, 100 traffic signals, 36 water wells, and 1,400 vehicles. So we're always looking for ways to become more efficient. We've recently begun participating in El Paso Electric Score Plus program. Thank you. We have El Paso Electric people here. That program helps large public and commercial customers to identify ways to improve energy efficiency. And, you know, all around the area, we have new projects coming in. Most of you know about Sapphire Energy. If you haven't been out to the West Mesa to see the algae ponds, well, I recommend you schedule a trip. And then there's the new solar farm. Again, thanks to El Paso Electric and to Sun Edison. So that was inaugurated in June, and I remember driving out there. There's a little dirt road, sort of comes down from the West Mesa, and all of a sudden I came over this little hill, and there were 48,000 photovoltaic modules on 140 acres. I have to say I was stunned. I just stopped and sat there and looked at it for a while. So this whole region is perfect for renewable energy. There was an article from the Center of American Progress in August of this year, and it's called The Vast Potential for Renewable Energy in the American West. According to the authors, Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, and Utah, the Four Corners states, plus their western neighbors, and that of course can include West Texas and also northern Mexico, are home to some of the best renewable electricity potential in the country. These states have consistently sunny skies for solar power, wind-blown plains and deserts for turbines, and underground heat perfect for geothermal energy. So that's quite an endorsement for our region. So this is the place, our region, there's no question about that, for sustainable energy projects. And you all are taking the initiative, and I applaud you for doing that. So welcome to Las Cruces. Come on in and look around. We have lots to show you. We have renewable energy projects, we have green infrastructure, we have LEED certified buildings. And remember those staff folks who were so opposed to the solar on the City Hall? Well, now they've become our champions. And our facilities management administrator, in fact, just recently went out and got himself a sustainability certification. He's really a real cheerleader. So, and all those solar panels on the City Hall, I have to admit, we didn't get them yet. But the building is ready, the parking garage is built so we can add the roof and put the solar panels on. So it is coming, we will have solar panels. So enjoy your meeting, take some time to look around and enjoy our city, and keep a lookout for their solar panels. Thank you, and welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Thomas. And now we'll have the Honorable Mayor Cook from El Paso.
Well, one of my favorite mayoral programs is called the Mayor's Book a Week Club. And in it, I go out to elementary schools, and I usually bring my guitar. Sorry I didn't bring it today. And I read a book to the kids, and I tell them this story about some books that my grandmother gave me when I was a little kid. I think I was 8 years old when she gave them to me. And I try to inspire these children to not only continue to learn how to read, but to love how to read. And typically I'll end by letting them ask me questions. And the questions are usually things like, do you have bodyguards? Do you live in a mansion? Do you have a chauffeur? But I was out at Sushuk Elementary School, which is out by Horizon City, right outside of El Paso. And this little first grader said, when did you finish school? And I said, well, that's a good question. I finished elementary school in 1960. I graduated from high school in 1964. I graduated from the Defense Language Institute in 1968. And I graduated from UTEP in 1977. And I got my teaching certification in 1992. And the little first grader looked up at me and he said, wow, way back in the 1900s? And the reason I tell you that story is because way back in the 1900s, we thought about energy a lot differently than we have to think about it today. The way we think about energy today is we realize that it's a resource that's not going to be with us forever unless we really watch out how we use it. But we have to be very careful because sustainable energy is not going to be as cheap as other forms of energy. I'll give you a really good example. The El Paso Housing Authority was recently complimented and given all kinds of awards for its green energy project, which was part of the AURA funding. And had it not have been for the federal funding for that, the project probably would have been economically infeasible, because what they did is they're totally off the grid. They use all of their energy from the sun and wind. They have no batteries on that are there. They actually put energy back onto the grid, but the cost of each unit was about $200,000. So almost $250,000 per unit. No developer in his right mind would go out and build a project like that for low-income housing. But with the federal government's assistance, this is really a demonstration project, which is a little bit different than a project that the private sector would want to embrace. But these projects that are so expensive like that give us the opportunity to test the technologies. But also we have to look at ways that other governmental entities can use proven technologies today in order to lower their energy cost and to make sure that we do have sustainable sources of energy. The Mayor Pro Tem mentioned some that they're using here in Las Cruces. We have some that are very similar, so I don't want to go through a list of those, but just to encourage people to think about how we can protect our resources that we have, how we can use the resources that we have smarter, and how we can use renewable sources of energy efficiently without busting ourselves at the bank. So it's going to be a very fine balance between those two things, making sure that we think green, but yet we don't spend all of our green doing it. So I hope you all enjoy the conference. A lot of great ideas are going to surface. Absorb the ideas and take them home with you, and then think about how you can apply them in your own communities, how you can apply them to your companies, how you can apply them to your cities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Cook. Since he mentioned education, it jogged my memory. Last year after this conference, the ReEnergize Americas, I guess the leftover cash, if you will, our operating capital was such that we were able to give 2 scholarships at each university, New Mexico State and University of Texas at El Paso, in the amount of $2,000 each. We hope to continue to do that again this year. We're really glad that we are profitable and able to support graduate students and undergraduates. So I'd like to thank again Mayor Pro Tem Thomas and Mayor Cook. A couple of other items here. I know that we have a couple of other people in the room that I need to recognize. Councilman Greg Smith here from the city of Las Cruces. Thank you very much. He was also supporting us last night at the Danny Villanueva Victory Club over at the Stan Fulton Center, so he can tell you what you missed. Also, someone who just snuck in the back of the room that I want to recognize, Dara Parker from Senator Jeff Bingaman's office. Senator Bingaman has always been a very positive supporter of energy across the nation and in our region, so we're very thankful. Moving right along, and I just want to remind you, if you need the translation of Patricia and Alejandra and Rosa Maria, make sure you get a little autophone in the back so that you can get the translations through the day. They'll be in the various rooms, whether it's in the ballrooms or in our session rooms when we break out. You may hear someone whispering in the back of the room. They're not being rude. They're just doing the translation for those people that are here from mostly Mexico. We are an international conference. We do have speakers from Mexico City, and we're even glad to have one here in the next round of speakers. So now, moving right along, I would like to call to the podium Adalberto Cretin, Secretary of the Economy for the state of Chihuahua in Mexico. Vimal Chaitanya, Vice President of Research for New Mexico State University. And Roberto Acegueda, Vice President for the University of Texas, El Paso.
That's me.
So we'll start with Vimal Chaitanya.
Let me go to the podium and talk from here. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. I'm very pleased to be here, and I must thank the organizers for inviting me. Of course, I'm standing in for our president of New Mexico State University. I'm deciding to talk from here because I can also see the slides that I'm going to be showing. So, and I have to call out actually, so let's go to the first slide, please. Yesterday I was thinking a little bit about how I should start, and I thought maybe everybody here is going to be an expert on energy, and so, how much can I say as to how important this is? And then a thought came to my mind that I hear many times that there's one more energy conference. And I thought maybe when I have an opportunity, I'll talk about why there is one more energy conference, how important it is for civilization in general, and how important it is for us to talk, continue to push research, and again, economic development, not only in this region, but of course, throughout the nation and the world. So I thought I'll start with this graph. It talks about how the energy demand is going to increase and how the supply is decreasing. And of course, we have a lot of oil, we have a lot of coal available. But what this graph indicates is that the population is going to go from 7 billion to 9 billion very quickly. And the demand is actually not going to decrease, but increase. And the price is going to take to drill oil out or to clean coal in the clean coal technology is actually going to increase too. And so the price structure is going to get much more competitive because we have drilled everything that we could in terms of easy oil. And so next slide, please. And so I think I put together some points to ponder, and this is typically from National Geographic, I think. We have about 1.2 trillion barrels of oil available in natural gas liquids. We went through the first trillion barrels in about 140 years. We'll go through the next trillion in just 30 years. Until 2008, of course, our nation is the biggest gas guzzler. We were actually, the state of California alone was actually spending, using more gasoline than any sovereign nation other than the United States, even more than China. And in 2007, United States power plants spewed out 2.4 billion tons of carbon dioxide, second only to China. Next slide, please. So how much coal are we burning? Well, if you may not be able to see a whole lot of the size of the balls back there, but if you look at the yellow ones at the bottom, that is China, and if you look at the green one, that's United States. And so we are burning, of course, because we have abundance of coal, we are actually burning only next to China. Next one, please. And so again, we have 64 billion tons of coal reserves in the US, 225 years is how much we have to use it. About every ton of coal is required to provide electricity in one home, United States home, for 2 months. And by that token, China is actually putting 2 coal power plants since 2008 every week because 80% of their energy comes from coal. Next slide, please. In terms of how much emissions we have, the green is United States, the yellow here is China, so we actually do our share. Another one, please. In terms of how much emission comes from agriculture, this is United States here, this is China, so again, we do our fair share. Therefore, I think it is important for us to come up with a strategy that not only utilizes the fossil fuels that are available in a safe, environmentally safe manner, but also come up with renewable energy, and that's all these conferences are about. And therefore, I don't think this is one more conference, I think this is a very important conference. Next slide, please. I think, and therefore, I like the chart like this that Shell, a gas company, has produced. It says, we need all sorts of energy. We need to use whatever is available and make us safer. The energy should be more reliable and more stable. Thank you. Next slide, please. So let me get back to what we at New Mexico State University is doing in terms of energy research. Next slide, please. We actually work in various areas of renewable energy and fossil fuels as well. So we have biofuels from various feedstocks that we use. That research is going on almost throughout the whole campus in every college of New Mexico State. We do wind energy research and development. We do solar. We do hydrogen, fuel cells, fossil fuels, nuclear, and last but not the least, smart grids. So I'll try and go through this very quickly in about a minute each to just give you an overview of our engagement with at New Mexico State University. Next one, please. Let me start off by saying that we have a large project funded by Department of Energy, which is where we are part of a National Association of Advanced Biofuels and Bioproducts. This is a consortium that's put together primarily by 3 land-grant institutions, NMSU, University of Arizona, and Texas A&M, along with Los Alamos National Lab. And I'm trying to indicate here 2 ways in which we actually, right here in Las Cruces at the Fabian Garcia Center of New Mexico State University, we have an open pond system and a closed loop system that we grow algae. Not only we grow algae, but we actually extract, harvest, convert it, and also produce co-product. Because in order for algal biofuels to be successful, we have to make sure that we have high food chain value in the co-product development so that it is more sustainable and economically viable. The departments and units that are involved in this research are actually listed here: Agriculture College, Arts and Science, Business Engineering, and Energy Research Lab. Next slide, please. I think I'll just skip through this one because it's just too much detail, but I'm trying to say that there are a lot of advantages of algal biofuels that I summarize here. This is aquatic photosynthesis. 45% of the global photosynthesis is actually aquatic. Next slide, please. But there are also certain challenges, and we need to overcome these challenges to make algal biofuels a reality. Next slide, please. We also use other biofuel feedstock, such as biohydrogen from cattle manure. We have produced direct bioelectricity from cattle manure. We also have ultra-low gossypol cotton seed that we use. In College of Agriculture, we have used other feedstocks such as alfalfa, soya, sunflower, and cellulosic feedstocks such as poplar and switchgrass, etc. Next slide, please. Moving on to wind energy. The NMSU has Institute for Energy and Environment in the College of Engineering. It provides support for wind energy development, project implementation, training, systems monitoring, etc. And we actually have our presence throughout many countries, not only just in New Mexico. We actually work with Afghanistan, Brazil, Chile, Honduras, Mexico, and the Dominican Republic. These projects are supported at various times by USAID, Department of Energy, and Windrock International. NMSU is also collaborating with NASA White Sands Test Facility, and we are actually establishing first wind farm in Doñana County. Next slide, please. In terms of solar energy, we have the Southwest Region Experimental Station. This is one of the 2 that actually Department of Energy started. The other one is located in Orlando, or close to Orlando. This was established in 1980, and it provides engineering services in all aspects of solar energy system: design, economics, modeling, and program development. Next slide, please. We also have the Southwest Technology Development Institute. It was founded in 1977. It is an energy research and development resource center. It's an institute which is nonprofit, university-based, and is housed in the College of Engineering. Its expertise involves photovoltaic, solar thermal, wind, geothermal, alternative fuels, evaporative air conditioning, microhydroelectric, aquaculture, biomass, energy efficiency, minority education, environmental systems, bioremediation, and waste management. It's quite a big charter. Next one, please. We also work in hydrogen fuel cells. As you probably all know, of course, that hydrogen is the cleanest fuel. The problem is, how are we going to store it and how are we going to transport it? And so we have researchers working on that problem. Hydrogen clatrate hydrate actually is a molecular compound that's been produced at high pressure and high compact at 33.3% storage capacity. However, it is not suitable right now unless we can produce it at lower pressures. And so they are working on absorption of hydrogen and water through carbon nanotubes in this compound. Next slide, please. There are other hydrogen fuel cells related projects that are going on at New Mexico State campus. We have hydrogen purification by metal organic framework, biohydrogen production from organic wastes. There are novel adsorption for hydrogen sulfide removal from hydrogen, modification of clinoptilolite for nitrogen and methane separation, and then of course the anode catalyst for the PEM fuel cells. Next slide, please. In terms of fossil fuels, which is the conventional way we get most of our energy today, the Arrowhead Center here has a Prosper project. It's an energy and economic development policy initiative that's funded by Department of Energy and headed by Dr. Jim Peach. The National Energy Technology Laboratory of USDOE is providing the funding. The project is designed to examine the relationships between fossil fuel production and economic development in an environmentally friendly fashion. Some of the requirements for, or the mandate is that this project must inform the public and policymakers. Among the outreach activities, there are numerous presentations that academic and non-academic settings that are made. And of course, partially this symposium is also supported by the Prosper project. I should point out that one of the biggest requirement for a land-grant institution such as New Mexico State University is to not only just do research in the campuses, but also let that research be available to the community at large, educate the community about issues, problems, solutions, and also provide education on campus to the students so that they can become the renewable energy or energy engineers of the future. And we do that very proudly. Next slide, please. The nuclear energy, again, is another area that we are quite active. We have a Carlsbad Environmental Monitoring and Research Center called CMERC, and they monitor the environment in the vicinity of the waste isolation pilot plant that's located in Carlsbad. They are capable of providing a whole lot of services such as radiochemistry work, characterization, monitoring, feasibility studies, radiological environmental training and education, and importantly also things such as homeland security training and assistance in what is called RDD, another name for what we normally know as dirty bombs. CMERC has partnered with Los Alamos National Lab, San Diego National Lab, and Washington True Solutions. And we also offer a minor in nuclear engineering at NMSU under the chemical engineering department. Next slide, please. Finally, in microgrids, of course, microgrids are an important issue because if you have renewable energy, there are going to be sources of energy production that are going to change from one to another. Right now, all our grids are actually one way, as if just like it's a one-way track. And it worked very well in the past when we had huge power generation plants and we were transporting energy to a city or a village or a township. With renewable resources as sources of power, this is outdated model. And so we are working in the area of microgrids, particularly in our electrical engineering department. New Mexico actually provides an ideal site for such research and implementation because we have distributed population, we have natural resources, we have an agriculture base. New Mexico offers an ideal incubator for development and deployment of distributed energy systems. Next slide, please. I think I'll stop here. I actually, when I gave my presentation, they saw that I had 30 slides, and I told them I'm not going to go through all of them. So thank you very much for your attention, and hope that you all find what you're looking for in this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chatanya. Next up will be Roberto Acegueda.
Thank you, Brett. My name is Roberto Cegueda. I'm the Vice President for Research at UTEP. I've been in El Paso, actually, I'm starting my 26 years. I've been here 25 years as a faculty member in in UTEP started out when I was fairly young, when I was 27, and I'm just going to tell you this. I went to my first class, and when I was very young. I got my PhD when I was 27, okay? And one of the students approached me and said, golly, Prof, you're 27 with a PhD, I'm 30, and I haven't even gotten my bachelor's degree. And that illustrates basically what UTEP is all about, is trying to serve a region and provide the educational opportunities to people in the region who has been historically underserved. So that mission of the university, I felt pretty good working at UTEP, teaching the classes, getting along very well with the students, with the faculty. And I've been able to see the university grow tremendously as I also happen to grow in my career path. I've been promoted to associate professor, full professor, director of research center. I've been in administration and so forth. Let me start out by giving you a quick overview of the university first. We have approximately at the present time about 23,000 students. We got 7 colleges: the College of Education, Business, Engineering, Science, Liberal Arts, Health Sciences, and the School of Nursing. As a faculty, the faculty body in the university is about 512 faculty members. The primary mission that is embedded at all levels in the universities is basically access and excellence. We have a responsibility to provide the access to educational opportunities to people in the region, but at the same time, we have a huge responsibility to deliver excellence education to our students. We do this in a very important setting, also trying to excel in research. The main reason why the university does research is because in order to attract, to have the very best faculty providing those educational opportunities for our students, we gotta have the very best faculty as well. In order to have the very best faculty, you gotta be able to recruit, you gotta be able to have research opportunities, and you gotta have excellent facilities, and we do all that. Out of those 512 faculty members, we have now an environment that about 55% of those continuously seek funding opportunities for research in a very classical academic environment where faculty are interested in a particular research topic. They write a proposal to a federal agency or foundation or private sector. They write a proposal, submit it formally, and basically the outcome comes whether the funding is coming and so forth. So in that regard, we're doing very, very well. Last year alone, in that mode, we were able to raise over $75 million in new projects. There were 169 new projects on the campus for all the faculty members. And that basically opens the door to opportunities for students and so forth. In the energy side, we've been very, very good in doing, primarily in the colleges of science and engineering, of faculty members seeking opportunities to do basic energy research, ranging from biofuels, fossil fuels, solar panels, solar photovoltaics, from the materials point of view, fuel cells, very similar to the material that was presented by Dr. Chaitanya. And we've been very successful in that regard. So we always get grants from the Department of Energy to do all that type of work and so forth. However, since about 3 or 4 years ago, we took a shift in direction in the university that we needed to start working better with interfacing the internal research with outside opportunities with the base on the community that will stimulate economic development. The first step we took is in 2009, we founded a center called Center for Research, Entrepreneurship, and Innovative Enterprises. And what this center basically is intended to do is work with the internal intellectual property of the university being able to interface faculty with the community, with investors, primarily for commercialization opportunities. We hired Dr. Gary Williams, who happens to be here, to create, and in that regard, we're doing extremely well. The intellectual property portfolio has grown significantly. The opportunities of interfacing with the community is just growing. Licensing is growing and everything else. The other thing that we did in that regards in the area of energy, we needed to, we had pockets of energy research going on all over campus. We needed to get a leader, and we did. We hired Dr. Ralph Martinez and as Director of Energy Initiatives on the campus, and he is also represent here in the conference. Okay, in that regards, little by little, Dr. Martinez was able to put together, for example, a strategic plan for the energy initiatives on the UTEP campus. Those consisted of, for example, one of them is to create a campus-wide energy and efficiency and microgrid, and begin putting the philosophy that if we're going to be working with smart grids and everything else, we gotta use the campus as a living laboratory to implement those things. So at the same time, we need to also provide academic support to the educational programs that are related to energy, and there are many. Community outreach, to begin capitalizing on economic development opportunities with the community, and also do more applied research and development, and also the deployment of actual projects, primarily in the area of microgrids. So in the campus initiative, I think we have had a lot of successes, and by the way, we don't have that much resources to do this project, so we always have taken the strategy that we need to be leveraging external resources to do this, and we do this by simply writing proposals to agencies or the state agencies to launch this project on site. We have now a photovoltaic plant in the university for about 184 kilowatts that was funded by the State Energy Conservation Office and also by the Department of Energy. We also were able to secure external funding to put electric vehicle charging stations on the campus. And so in that, we're growing. All those platforms being built on the campus are also being connected to educational programs. The monitoring of all these systems from the point of view of microgrids is, we're employing students to begin learning about the management issues of power. I'm not going to cover very much, but I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here and give you a little bit of knowledge of the university. I'd like to thank the organizing committee, Britt. Thank you for the opportunity, second year in a row. And I'd like to also thank the organizing committee for the event. I'll be happy to answer questions, I believe, after the third speaker.
Thank you, Roberto. And now we will have Alberto Cretin, Secretary of Economy, State of Chihuahua, Mexico.
Well, thank you very much. I want also to thank the New Mexico State University, as well as the University of Texas in El Paso, for the invitation to participate in this important event. Certainly, my friend Jorge Ramos from El Paso del Norte for the invitation. Thank you very much. And Britt, thank you very much also for allowing us to be here. And I'm here today basically to tell you that we at the state government in Chihuahua, we acknowledge the fantastic opportunity that we have to participate in initiatives like the ones that we're here today. I want to confirm to you that the state of Chihuahua, we acknowledge also we have a privileged position in terms of the geographical position because of the solar energy that we have in Chihuahua, and we want to participate in these kind of events. And we do this with the conviction. And let me just say very briefly that in the state of Chihuahua, we are changing some things. We know that we need to create wealth based on knowledge. If we really want to increase the GDP per person, if we want to increase the benefit of the quality of life of Mexicans in Chihuahua, we need to create wealth through knowledge. And and for that, we launched an initiative of innovation that involves a lot of different things. But today I'm going to tell you that one of them has to do with research. We need to acknowledge and we need to recognize the students that study a master's degree, that go for a doctorate degree, and that we need to foster also the willingness on companies to invest in research, and so that's very very important. And for that, we do a lot of things in different fields, in aviation, in automotive, and other things. But the flag initiative for innovation is precisely the center. There's a national center for research on solar energy that is going to be installed in Chihuahua. And I appreciate very much the support that we from El Paso del Norte Group and other organizations that help us to do this. And this again has to do with the fact that we understand that once we harness the energy of the sun, I think that we talk about the amount of. I really appreciate your presentations about what the situation of energy in the world, and I don't know nothing about it. So please, if I make a mistake, please excuse me. But I think that Mayor Cook was talking about when you were a child and some things that you want to inspire in children. And I think that 100 years from now, or sometime 50 years from now, they're going to laugh about the things that we're doing to get energy, because I think that once we harness the energy of the sun, and then we extrapolate what's going on with this photovoltaic technology and everything, and probably 100 years from now, it's going to be it's going to be a much different scenario. So in that regard, I just as I say, I'm here to tell you that we're very excited to participate in this event. We want to continue to participate jointly on initiatives, on research, on business development, on also business opportunities. And let me also give you some information about what we're doing in Chihuahua. Chihuahua, we have 247,000 square kilometers in the state of Chihuahua. The state of Chihuahua is the largest state in the Republic of Mexico. And we have direct normal radiation with higher levels than the national average throughout the state. And this is ideal for the solar projects for the generation of photothermal and photovoltaic energies. The state of Chihuahua, we identify 40,000 square kilometers available for installation of these kind of solar projects without affecting other sectors like forestry, cattle, raising, cattle raising, agriculture, and other industry. Actually, we can install between 25 and 30 megawatts per square kilometer for the generation of photovoltaic industry. There is a law of renewable energy that is being published this month in the state of Chihuahua that is going to provide not only the policies but the framework and some of the actual structures, to foster, renewable energies. The use of energy in hospitals, highway toll booths, schools, public lighting systems, drinking water wells, among others, without including industrial parks and manufacturing companies in Chihuahua is about 500 megawatts. Among the projects with more potential in Chihuahua are the generation of energy, the assembly of photovoltaic panels, solar heaters, and fuel cell solutions for efficient lighting, manufacturing of blades, towers, and energy systems for aeolic turbines. And the state of Chihuahua is, as I said before, promoting the installation of the Mexican Center for Innovation in Solar Energy, the one that I just mentioned to you, which will provide the conditions to develop the required supply of solar energy demands at the national level, including the capacity for scientific and technological research, as well as to train specialized human resources for technology innovation. And we have a number of projects that had to do with solar farms in different parts of the state, and also the private sector is also contributing with some of these projects. And I don't want to go through all of them, but I want today to tell you that we acknowledge very much the opportunity. We are privileged to participate in a region that are neighbor with New Mexico and with Texas, and we appreciate the opportunity to work together with you. And I want to confirm today the commitment to continue working on this initiative. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Alberto. At this particular point in time, we're going to be open for questions for Vimal, Roberto, and Alberto. So if you have a question, I think we can get one of the microphones from up here and possibly have Jacob walk it around the room. Does anyone have any questions of either of the three of our speakers? I mean, if they did a really great job, yes.
No, I recently spoke at a conference sponsored by the American Meteorological Society. And one of the things I talked about there was the interaction amongst several sectors, not just the academia. And I have not seen in your discussions how you're going to get involved the private sector folks too in the whole overall discussion.
So maybe I'll take a stab at this. As you know very well, I think the role of the academia, of course, is to come up with the solutions, and then we have to create environment for our faculty members to take that to the next step. So once you have discovery and invention in the labs, of course, then it moves on to innovation, because any idea needs to be innovated so that it's applicable for a project. And then it moves on to commercialization. We have an Arrowhead Center here, which is quite successful and is getting more and more successful every day in encouraging faculty members and students actually also to work through the incubator and do that process. And I think that if I understand this right, they have similar situation in UTEP. Some of the projects that I mentioned, for example, from NMSU, and this is probably true for others, are actually in association with national labs. I know that you came from Los Alamos National Lab, for example, and the Algal Biofuel Project, for example, is a consortium of universities, private industries, big and small, as well as three government labs, actually. So I think that to get a comprehensive solution to the challenge that we are all facing in terms of how to come up with the required amount of energy in a sustainable manner that's environmentally friendly and reliable, we need, as you just pointed out, I think we need academic involvement along with the industrial partners, along with government labs, venture capitalists that can take the ideas and spin it into something useful that can be marketed. So how we are accomplishing this, I believe that we as the university researchers always look for partnerships. Whenever there is a possibility through foundations or through private industries, we give our ideas, write white papers and see, is this something that is applicable to your needs and would you like to fund us? Of course, the same thing is also being promoted now by more and more actually by the federal funding agencies, right? So they are looking for there are many specific initiatives to federal funding agencies that actually ask you to partner with an industry to get funding. So you're absolutely right. I think that critical partnership between university and industry is very much needed. And every university now is more aware of it than before, and so is the federal government.
Completely agree. More and more, we're responding to solicitations being put out by energy agencies such as Department of Energy, Department of Defense, and those solicitations are calling for partnerships. And in order to make those successful, you have to have the infrastructure that support those partnerships. And universities are beginning to do that in a very similar format to what NMSU is doing by creating those centers that allow the communication to occur between private industry and the university. The model that the partnerships will occur with all faculty members, that's not going to happen. It's just very few members in particular areas who have those characteristics of working with it. University faculty, however, offers a tremendous resource to solve problems in industry, and that can be very, very valuable for economic development opportunities. But in order to make that happen, you gotta have those centers that allow the interface to happen very naturally without barriers. So it is happening, at least at UTEP and MSU. I see it in the community, the partnerships that have been formed with city, private industry, the effect that is having, for example, on small companies, opportunities with vending, and a whole bunch of other things. So I think as a community, we're doing extremely well and moving in the right direction.
I think that one of the objectives precisely on this initiative is to detonate economic development. So we're looking at the opportunity to do the manufacturing for the solar cells. I think we're talking also to companies that are interested in the actual installation of the photovoltaic farms, as well as companies that are interested in the financing and interacting with governments in order to be able to supply this energy to municipalities or to other different initiatives. So I think that there is a very important element that is going to be provided by industry, by the private sector in this business.
We have another question up here with Councilman Smith. We'll get to you next.
I'm thrilled by the collaboration and the connectivity that's being shown here. And I think we are very aware of the trade situation with Las Cruces and El Paso and Chihuahua, Juarez, that, at Santa Teresa and in areas right here along the border where there's industry, there's maquiladoras, and there's trade happening across our mutual three borders, more or less. So I think that's very exciting, and I was wondering, just by the three of you being here today and by the groups that we have here today, it seems there's also an academic connectivity that's starting to happen, that's starting to coalesce. And if you might talk a little bit more about some of the interactions that are happening between the universities on both the Mexican side and the US side, the connectivity between New Mexico State and UTEP, but also with the universities in Juarez and in Chihuahua, I think that would be very helpful as well. Thank you.
The collaborations really start at the root level. In order to make it successful, you got to put the experts to talk to each other from the different universities. My relationship with NMSU have been excellent. With VMAL, we talk all the time on initiatives, proposals, joint proposals. And our roles at BPRs is to become cheerleaders for the people who are pursuing money for whatever purpose. Just recently, for example, a couple of weeks, I heard the great news that the Arrowhead Center is going to receive an award from the Economic Development Agency. And I was very happy to hear that basically this was a community effort in which, for example, UTEP had a very small portion, but we're very happy with it. More and more, there used to be a lot of competition between the universities about who does that what, but that's really irrelevant at this point. More and more what we see is people working together. For energy side, for example, I see the energy group from NMSU working together with the energy group in UT El Paso and so forth. So that's the environment. Sometimes we compete, but the competition really happens to be at the individual faculty level, individual programs that are highly competitive. And you got to realize that for some of these programs where faculty is seeking funding, the success rate is less than 10%. In other words, only 10 out of 100 proposals will be funded. And so there's a lot of competition to write the best proposal, and you don't want to share what you're doing. But for those big programs that really have the target for affecting economic development, we're partnering extremely well. And I don't know with the state of Chihuahua, but we also work very closely with other universities in Mexico too. We always try to include them anytime we have the opportunity to do that.
Sure. Let me use this opportunity to talk about collaboration in that, as I'm the Secretary of the Economy, and that I don't want to get in trouble about some things with university. I know that the universities of Chihuahua and the technical schools, do have several joint initiatives with the universities. But let me use this very good question as an opportunity to tell you about, to confirm there is a very good collaboration between the state of Texas, the state of New Mexico, and the state of Chihuahua. The cities, in the border, my friend John Varela, who is the Secretary of Economic Development for New Mexico, we work very close with El Paso and El Norte, with the Regional Economic Development, from El Paso. We've been promoting the region together. We understand that we complement each other. We see opportunities to achieve some synergies in our activities to detonate investment, to attract investment to our region. And I think that, I'm privileged to have also the opportunity to work with good promoters from Texas and from New Mexico. And I think that